You can't have reconciliation with Indigenous peoples without addressing the health and well-being of the plants and animals that Indigenous nations rely on to practice their distinct cultures. And so as we're talking about dealing with climate change and looking for, Indigenous-led solutions to climate change, we see not only the harms that have happened over time through resource extraction, how that's harmed Indigenous people, Indigenous nations, but it's also harmed our earth. It's harmed plants and animals. We see a lot of extinction happening, a lot of trauma to plants and animals. We see like strawberries over time getting smaller, and signs of Indigenous prophecy of trees dying and those sorts of things. And so we'd really like to start thinking about stewardship for ourselves as a people that have a right to be self-determining, but also understanding that like reconciliation with Indigenous people and addressing climate change and correcting the relationship that people have to creation and how both Indigenous people and Indigenous plants and animals have been harmed are the same conversation. They have to walk hand in hand, because you can't have reconciliation with Indigenous peoples without addressing the health and well-being of the plants and animals that Indigenous nations rely on to practice their distinct cultures. We're not going to see progress on things like ending, child welfare or the intergenerational effects of residential schools that Indigenous people face, or see action on things like the national inquiry or the ravages of missing and murdered Indigenous women, unless we're taking a critical and serious look at how land and land stewardship and the disruption of Indigenous communities have been facilitated to exploit land and resources and water.